revolutionary poet, educator, and editor. Their work is featured in The New Yorker, the Boston Review, and Poetry Magazine. Paul Tran has placed in the top 10 at the individual World Poetry Slam and won second place at the National Poetry Slam. The poems are precise and raw, full of life and death, blood and beauty, and all the feelings in between. Let's fill this auditorium with the truth. Please welcome Paul Tran.
My mother works for a dry cleaner in the part of town where people have green lawns even though California has no water. People bring my mother their dirty laundry because water ruins the material, because they have a history of dirty laundry, have a history of bringing brown women like my mother to this country to wash the blood from their hands, from their clothes first. She marks the soiled garment with a tag. The tag has a number and a color. The number identifies the garment. The color indicates the kind of treatment it gets. The way color always indicates the kind of treatment we get. The communist regime locked my mother away for 9 years when she escaped Vietnam in 1980. For 9 years, she scrubbed their soiled garments in the same river where they stoned her sisters, inspected their dirty underwear for any major problem areas, you know. How stains are always major problems in urban areas. That's why the Food and Drug Administration recommends you treat them with a synthetic solvent called tetrachloroethylene. Tetrachloroethylene latches onto the stain and dissolves it. The stain bleeds onto disposable white sheets like brown bodies baking in the sun until brown mothers like my mother have no sons or anything to love my mother. Watched America kill everything she loved when it bombed her village with 388,000 tons of napalm. The napalm latched onto their skin and dissolved it. The living had to wrap their dead in disposable white sheets after baking in the sun while they came to this glorious country, which continues to kill their sons and everything they love. But that's why brown women like my mother practice the art of burial every day when they lower your clothes down into a machine that pumps tetrachloroethylene at 1,500 gallons per hour, like machine gun, like crossfire, like warning. Repeated exposure to this chemical causes brain damage. Warning. Repeated exposure to this chemical causes cancer. Warning. That's why my mother still dreams of the war. Still dreams of the men who raped and threw her body into an ocean full of sharks. That's why she dreams of her sister's body, cut away by uterine cancer, cut away by breast cancer. That's why she dreams of the men who fired a missile at her cousin's face, his shattered skull, his father taking bits of shrapnel out of his child's skeleton. That's why she treats any surviving stain in a vacuum, irons it stiff, bags it in plastic, like the plastic body bag she saw stacked stiff in a bomb Gully Hill white, like a blank page, like American history, like a white lie, like the dirty laundry she makes clean with her own brown hands when my mother hands you back your clothes, when she unnails herself from the cross of her trauma long enough to charge you for your murder, for your crimes, while these ghosts screaming in her bones. You better know, America, this war you started is not over, America. I said this war you started is not over. Every war you start has its price, America. My mother, she's gonna make you pay. How we feeling, everybody? Are we good? Aaron, for again making me feel like the final scene in A Star Is Born. And here's my one tear for Jack. That's what's his name, like his name was Jack? Thank you. I watched it on a United flight the other day, sitting next to my favorite people, a family with a baby. And it was my favorite baby. Didn't stop talking for all 4 hours. We were on this flight, and at the height of our one-way conversation, knocked an entire cup of Coca-Cola over my lap. And I had to ask the father, can you get me some napkins? And he was like, can you get it yourself? And I'm like, but it was your baby. And we just looked at each other for a long time. So I figured, parents are always doing their best. And that's, wow, sometimes you start on a story you don't really remember how it relates to what you came here to do. But I will say, my good segue is that's how I knew my mother was doing her best as a Vietnamese refugee to this country. See how wonderfully smooth that was? 3 things you need to know about me before we kick it off to the next few poems. 1, I'm a fake. 2, I am a Taurus sun, a Cancer moon, and a Louise Belcher rising. And then the last is, I had an email from someone at Public Relations at Eau Claire asking about this forthcoming book project and what the title was, and I had to say, the title of my forthcoming book is These Poems Are Trash, but thank you so much for being here. I climbed down to the beach facing the Pacific Ocean, where torrents of rain sure the sand. On the other side, my grandmother sleeps soundlessly in her bed. Her dress of the whitest silk, my mother knew her mother died long before the telephone rang like bells announcing the last American helicopter leaving Saigon. An arrow shot back to its bow, a long-distance missile. I know she would fly home if she could. She works overtime instead, curls her hair with hot rollers, rouges her cheeks like Gong Li in Raise the Red Lantern, and I'm her understudy, hiding in the doorway between her grief and mine. I apply her foundation to my face. I conceal the parts of me that she conceals, puckering my lips as though kissing a man who would love me one day like I want to be loved. And I say all their bewitching names aloud. Twisted Rose, Fuchsia in Paris, a reverence. I chose the lipstick she would least approve. Wrapped a white towel around my waist, danced for hours in the kitchen, mesmerized by my own reflection in a charred skillet. I laugh, her laugh, the way my grandmother used to laugh when she was alive, when I braided her hair in the unbearable heat, my tiny fingers weaving each silver strand into a fishtail, a French twist, each strand a knot, another child she never got to name, buried somewhere in the plot of her where she keeps the image of her only living children locked away. God, I'm sorry. Mother of my mother. Buddha with 1,000 hands, no child in our family stays a child their mother can love. When my mother came to this country in 1989, she worked 3 jobs so that I could be the first in my family to go to college. And I, thank her so much for the sacrifices that she made so that we could have a better life. And she's like my best friend. She calls me every night at 9 p.m. And if I don't pick up the phone, she leaves a 9-second voicemail. And if she has to call back again and I don't pick up, it's a 16-second voicemail that then becomes a 1-minute, 32-second voicemail if I don't pick up the 3rd time. And I'm just like, it's the same conversation every day that she likes to have. Like, what are you doing? What did you cook? Oh, well, I made this, trying to remind me that she's a better cook than me, that she's better than me in every single way possible. But I am so used to her one-upping me, and growing up, it was really difficult to talk to her about challenging things because every time I'm like, Mom, I had a really bad day at school, she'd say, I was a refugee. Mom, I got bullied because this person kept on calling me the F word. I had you by C-section. You want to see the scar? And I'm just like, wow, psychological parenting. But it makes it really difficult then to talk about things as I'm growing up. And one of the most difficult things I found to talk to her about, I felt lucky when poetry gave me the space to do it. And so here we go. I want to tell you about the wolf, how he pressed a white towel against my face, how it smelled like sugar, how all night the winter air wilted into my lungs. My phone rang, and it was my mother calling, but I couldn't answer. He nails me down into a bed of thorns, me lost in a field of sheep sharpening their fangs like candles, me cursed to cry wolf, but no one comes to rescue me, cursed to cry wolf, no one believes me, but I guess, yes, that is the curse of my family. To come from a colonized people never rescued, from survivors with no one around to believe them, not my mother, not my father, not this man, dragging me down, his wolf throat, his wolf tongue, telling me to say I like it, say his name, show him what my mouth can do, but I'm sorry, sir. I don't even know my own name in my mother's language. I don't have the language to tell my mother what you did to me, how you lured me home, how you spiked my drink, how you date raped me, how you filmed my death on your iPhone at once. I asked my mother the Vietnamese word for rape, and she says nothing. She cleans the house, pulls weeds from the garden with her ungloved hands. Once I asked my mother the Vietnamese word for gay, and she calls me a freak of nature. She calls me bede, a curse word French colonizers planted on our tongues to mean faggot, bundle of six flamboyant, always burning iron, and always burning garden of weeds, men like you enter ungloved, a mistake for paradise. I'm a freak of nature, a curse word sung in my mother's native tongue, whose word for rape is ham heap, to be flower, to be a house men like you enter without wiping your feet at the door, to be a house my mother cleans with sage and bundles of joss sticks, to be a house so overgrown with silence you mistake me for surrender. But didn't your mother ever teach you that you can't deflower weeds without us resurrecting again and again and again and again? So let me be clear. I don't need you to believe me. I don't need you to rescue me. I will rescue myself from any man who tries to make a meal out of this body. I will chew my way through his stomach. I will gorge myself from his bones. I will peel myself out of his skin. I will return to the world again. I will return to my life again. I come back from death to find a voice, to say your name, tell everyone in this room what you did to me. I come back from death, look you dead in the eye, look you dead, teach you a lesson, teach you. Men like you don't own everything they see, teach you exactly what it was you wanted to know when you asked what this mouth can do. And so, it's a secret that I've kept from her for a really long time, and I think it's something that I keep from my mother, this fact of being a survivor, of being assaulted when I was a junior in college, when I thought that everything was going A-okay, and that this future that she had sacrificed so much for me to have is just right in my grasp. I kept from her because I didn't want to burden her with it, because I didn't think it was something that we could talk about. But only very, very recently did I learn that, of course, during my mother's journey from Vietnam to the United States was she assaulted as well. And so perhaps that contributes to why it's difficult to speak with her about it, that there's this shared experience between us. And I wonder if, as a parent, it's difficult for her to wrap her mind around the fact that she couldn't protect her child from something that happened to her. And so once again, I find it really a privilege, the space that poetry can hold for us, to write and to tell the stories that we can't share with our families, our blood or our chosen families, and to allow us to hold that space for ourselves. And speaking about space holding, I thought it would be a good idea the other day, because, you know, can't spell scholar without hoe, to do some research on this boy I really liked. And in my research, I found out that Sawyer Mannix from Franklin Elementary School kindergarten class was a varsity lacrosse captain at UC Santa Cruz and a business major. And I asked myself, why the hell did all those years back then we not try to trap this man? Because one day he was going to be so rich. And between deciding whether or not to conduct an ethnographic interview, aka slide into the DM, or order Domino's, I remember why me and Sawyer did not work out. And we got this little doodad. I thought it was the wind, the devil's breath blowing in from the desert, setting everything from Death Valley to the Pacific Ocean on fire. I thought it was the angel, Lucifer, the one who tried to play God, the one that God cast out of heaven and into the sea, the one that drags me by my hair out of the boy's back and pulled down my pants so his friends could piss on me. See what secret I tuck between my legs. My gender has always answered to men like him, men who make me the butt of their jokes, the butt their toxic masculinity jerks off to while a urinal with he, she carved under my name remains my eternal casket, and not even the principal, not the police, not my mother would protest as my attackers make a eulogy of me, naming me the way colonizers have named all things. But all my life I felt the sting of men calling me a he, she, under my skin, like it was the devil's breath, incinerating everything I thought I could love about myself. And when I study the mirror's reflection on me, I see their lightning fists striking me again and again, these men who brag about where their dicks have been, who grew up on the same block with me, who stood in the same line for food stamps with me, who share my same color and history, who I thought would understand what it means to live in a body I'm told does not belong to me. To have a gender as public as a school bathroom, as public as a school where we learn all about the colonizer, never the colonized, how our ancestors kept fighting when their lands were taken, how our ancestors kept singing when the throats were broken, how they kept inventing new weapons when the minds were chained, how they kept rising out of the flames when their families were slain. I've lived in my colonizer's land. I've spoken its language, called myself what it calls me, a boy, a he, she, a monster, but I'm not here to obey your binaries. I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to free myself. I am the sky, burning red and hot with me. I'm the sun, swallowing this entire galaxy. I'm the failure of his imagination when God tried to make me in his image. I'm the failure of God's imagination when he tried to keep me in his image. I'm God giving himself a second chance. I'm God starting over and saying, let there be light. So these fools, that's what it is, can see me. And so then the dominoes came, of course. And then we lived happily ever after, me and my Hawaiian pizza. But I wanted to, I was telling Paula, I wanted to end on a good note. And so this last poem, and then we'll have a reception outside. And I invite you, I was told in teaching school to say everything 3 times to my high schoolers. And so here we go. I invite you to talk to me if you have any questions about the poems, about the content. Please talk to me. I welcome anything that's on your mind or on your heart. And then, again, please talk to me. I welcome anything that's on your mind or on your heart. And then the 3rd time, please talk to me. I welcome anything that's on your mind, on your heart. And hopefully the NPR voice got you. But this last one, I promise, ends on a good note because the extended metaphors I tell my high schoolers are birds. And so, of course, flight, ascension, uplift. But because I'm a fake and because birds start off on the ground, we're gonna, toil there for a second before we lift up. But thank you so much to everyone for taking time out of your night and spending it with me. It's never lost on me this chance to share my poems with you because English is not the language that we speak in my family. So none of the poems that I've shared with you tonight are poems that my mother or relatives can understand. And so I really appreciate having this space. And I appreciate so much Sarah Jo for introducing me, for Paul and Aaron for making this happen, for all of our lights and sound folks for taking the time. Birds, here we go. For so long, I envied the engineering of birds, the descendants of dinosaurs, the original refugees. They survived millions of years on this planet, saw it burn and rise out of its delicious burning. They were there with the first humans, Eve in the garden with Adam, her industrious resolve, his ignorance, not even aware of its ignorance, but they were there, talons digging down into the bark of the tree of knowledge, their beaks shoved into its sweet and sour fruit. I envied their proximity to history during 9th grade physics, when Mr. Majors had our class build and launch bottle rockets on the soccer field to demonstrate our mastery of aerodynamics, of gravity. Though I'm sure he knew we would never be masters of anything, not even our bodies. This primary sentence still. I memorized birds. I went onto Wikipedia, made it my cheat sheet, put it in my sleeve. I knew birds so well on the test, I did not need to copy off of Stephanie's exam. Kept quiet while she passed answers to somebody else. Paula Blatchley kept quiet while Mr. Majors caught her and sent her to the principal's office. Made an example of her the way we shamed Eve for comprehending what Adam couldn't even begin to fathom. The way later that year, we shamed the biology teacher, Ms. Crummell, for reportedly sneaking off with the geometry teacher, Ms. Manzano. and going God knows where. Actually, they came here to Wisconsin, and because we were from California, and we didn't know anything about love, what it presents as, what love can mean. And birds, I envied you so deeply, I forgot the curse of having wings, of always thrusting forward through this world, unable to touch and hold another hand, to feel inside a wound and cauterize it. I forgot what it meant to harbor an ancient intelligence. All those summers I walked by you, little pigeons scavenging popcorn outside the Pearl Theater, on my way to be a scientist in a laboratory where I cultured brain cells in a petri dish. What was my hypothesis? If the neurons in my brain aren't replaced when they die, then I'll never forget the stranger and his hand sliding open the shower door, his hand pointing to a bed in the cold garage, his hand tightening a belt around my neck, fingers thick and salty in my mouth. Did I learn nothing from birds in high school? In Miss Garcia's English class, where we read about Philomela, how Tereus took her into the woods and left her there, how the gods left her there until she spoiled, became a nightingale, tongueless bird with and without song, cursed to wander this world, to testify, to name her assault and her assailant. I'm not saying I deserve divine mercy. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, like Eve, like Philomela, I too wanted prayer and protest, salvation and suffering, heaven, brutal and beautiful as hell, all the provinces of human experience. I wanted the forbidden fruit inside the fruit, a succulent seed I could bury in the soft ground and grow another tree of knowledge, another orchard of knowing and unknowing, where I could run through wind so fast with all the people I love, all the people who taught me finally what love looks like, what love can be, what love means. And we can run through wind so fast, we become wind. And for a moment, it feels like flying. Thank you so much.